Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Wow, that title is a mouthful. But on a serious point, the Crisis Core remaster is releasing in December. And while I've not had the good fortune to play the original, you can bet I'll be picking up this version later this year. It's funny to think about how prevalent remasters and remakes have become in the last 5 or 6 years. Some remake and remasters are absolutely incredible and crafted with the utmost attention to detail and care, while others can often be thrown together as quickly as possible to simply put something on the shelves to make money. I tend to think this Crisis Core remaster will likely fall into the prior category. Clearly, this game couldn't come at a better time for Final Fantasy fans, what with the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth game releasing next year. But let's not waste any more time and get right into the thick of it. Let's talk about why I'm so excited for Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. I really wish that was a shorter title. While the Crisis Core remaster won't be as fully rebuilt as the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, it is still getting a variety of fantastic new upgrades, the first being brand new character models built within Unreal Engine 4. This comes alongside new environments and a new camera system. We'll also be getting a more modernized gameplay, hence the new camera. Of course, gameplay is getting more than just a few touches here and there. The developers were nice enough to rework the DMW mechanic. Although I did not play the original game on PSP, this is something I've heard about from others. Apparently, this quite controversial gameplay feature will be fine-tuned to make it less disruptive during the game. This includes allowing players to outright skip the feature if they so choose. So it's always nice to know stuff like this is going to be addressed. To be honest with you, as I sat for a while and compared footage and differences between the PSP game and the remaster, the one thing which got me more excited than anything else is seeing the new and improved UI. UI, or any kind of battle interface, is actually really important to someone like me. As many of you have probably noticed from the footage thus far, the new UI design seems to be borrowing heavily from the Final Fantasy VII Remake, much like it borrows art direction and its voice actors from that game. Though if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll probably know that the updated battle system in Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of, if not my favorite, from the franchise. So really anything that reminds me of that is going to make me happy. But when you think about it, this really is the perfect time to release the game, especially if Zack might be playing an important role in whatever new material we're going to see in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And yes, I know the story of this Crisis Core remaster is supposed to be the same thing as it was originally, while being unconnected with Final Fantasy VII Remake. But at the same time, you can't honestly expect me to believe that Square Enix is releasing a Crisis Core remaster the year before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it's completely unrelated. I mean, come on. With the way 7 Remake ended, there's no way this release happens the way it does if Zack doesn't have some kind of bigger role in the story of 7 Rebirth. I get that Crisis Core is independent of that. I'm just saying, we might see an explanation as to how Zack is still alive in the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth world, while still being dead in Crisis Core, since the remake storyline has deviations to begin with. As far as other stuff that's piqued my interest, I can definitely attest to being curious and seeing what becomes of the new voice actors recording material for a very different game from Final Fantasy VII Remake. Crisis Core being a prequel and focusing on Zack Fair with Cloud only being a supporting character is a far cry from the epic journey Cloud and his friends go on in both the original and the remake project. However, it does seem a little odd to me that they would go through the expense of completely re-recording the audio from the first game, especially when they are supposedly not changing the story at all. I mean, a lot of remasters feature the original dialogue, because it's the simplest thing to copy and paste from the original to the new version. It's already done and just sitting there waiting for you. Why would you go through all that extra work and expense? I've arrived at 2 conclusions as to why this might be the case. Firstly, Square has chosen to use the same voice actors as Final Fantasy VII Remake in order to make the players identify this version of Crisis Core with the Remake project and not with the older compilation of Final Fantasy VII. This is despite the fact that on at least 2 occasions, people at Square have suggested that Final Fantasy VII Remake is actually in addition to the compilation work. Secondly, perhaps Square does intend to record some new dialogue as well to tie in the original Crisis Core story with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, kind of similar to how they had a secret cutscene in Final Fantasy Type 0 HD at the end of the game. We might actually see an extra cutscene after completing the game. Who knows? We can hope, right? Now, you can clearly tell I'm getting excited about this because my mind is running wild with ideas, but more importantly, I'm just thrilled that we're getting that much closer to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that we've got a really cool remaster to hold us over until then, regardless of whether or not we actually get any tie-in between the games. But why don't you let me know what you all think in the comments section down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, clicking that like button, and hitting that little bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any new videos as soon as they drop. Thank you so much, and have yourself a great day.